Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday. It's time for another episode of Come On Ref. You know what it is? I mean, I'm here with all my friends, man. We got, let's go around the table. We got Jared, Nick, got Jameson back there in the corner. There's Max, Jackson. Good morning, Jackson. What's up, guys? How we doing today?
Great.
Good.
Hey, talk about sports.
I'm ready to talk about this, man. I just have so many internet issues this morning, man. I hope I can stay on, but we'll see. We're gonna wing it and see what happens. I think we have a pretty good show for you today. Again, I mean, I know I always say that. Probably sounds like clockwork, but I believe it, man. I think we have a good show. Definitely gonna talk about the Major League Baseball playoffs right now. I mean, they're in literal full swing. There's some pretty wild surprises. I don't know. I mean, maybe surprises. Maybe I was ready for some of this stuff. I mean, that layoff is no joke. We'll get into that a little bit too. But we got some college football stuff. We'll get into a little bit of NFL later on in the show too. But first, just want to get into some quick headlines. I think everybody's been kind of anticipating Victor Wembanyama's debut, rather. I do know his name, I promise. I think it went well the other night for the Spurs in the preseason. Got to play against Chet Holmgren. Kind of, interesting to see those two going at each other a little bit. Not the first headbutt of the NBA preseason. That was good. What'd you guys think about Wembanyama? I mean, any surprises? I mean, did he kind of look the way you thought he would look? Or, I mean, I thought it went well, didn't you?
He looks like he just doesn't look like a real NBA, like anything I've ever seen before on a basketball court. Like, I saw the one play where he stripped Thunder player, that went out in transition. He took like 2 steps past half court and dunked it. Like, I've never, his stride length and his speed for someone that tall just is unlike any other player we've seen before. So I thought he lived up to the hype in his debut.
Okay. I mean, what do you think? He's obviously the not a shoe-in, but he's the favorite for Rookie of the Year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I think Chet could run for his money though. Chet also looked really, really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say he also qualifies. He could win the Rookie of the Year as well. Obviously, he didn't play last year at all. I don't know. I didn't get to see much of it. I watched some highlights. I mean, I guess he looked the way I expected him to look. I mean, it's a long season, We're going to see how he looks, 40, 50, 60 games in. And I don't know. We'll just see. Also underway is the NHL regular season. That started yesterday. Is that right?
Yes, last night.
Last night was the first day. Any takeaways? I mean, I don't watch a ton of hockey, so we just want to go around the table real quick. We don't need a ton of analysis right now unless you guys really want to get into it. But I'm telling you, I can't. I'm going to listen to you guys if you do. Hold on, Max. We'll go around the table, though. But, Jared, who wins the Stanley Cup this year? Just tell me one name, who wins the Stanley Cup, and then we can get into it a little bit. Jared, go ahead.
Las Vegas Knights, baby. They're going back to back.
All right. Nick, what do you think?
I'm going to go with the Colorado Avalanche. I still think they have the best core in the league of any team assembled, but the Knights did look amazing last night.
Fair enough. Jameson.
Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah, Blackhawks.
Man, taking a hot take. Where's the first?
Hey, why not, man? Why not? Blackhawks were down. Now Blackhawks can be up. Max, what do you think?
You guys are going to hate me for this one. I'm going up north. It's going to be a Canadian team. It's going to be Toronto or Edmonton.
Okay.
Toronto every year.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Edmonton.
It doesn't matter what sport Toronto has. They always choke in the playoffs.
Toronto,
like the Maple Leafs have
Toronto
done
Maple Leafs
for
are the
many
Dallas
years.
Cowboys of the NHL. Toronto Maple Leafs are the Dallas Cowboys.
Or the Clippers, if you want.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a bad pick, Max, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be the same old, same old. They're going to have a first-round exit in the playoffs, and Toronto fans are going to be mad.
Toronto had a second round last year, so correct yourself.
That's improvement.
I'm
So,
saying
Jackson, I already know what you're going to say, but who takes home the Stanley Cup, man?
You already know what I'm going to say.
Already
Who am
know.
I going to say?
Edmonton Oilers.
That's what I'm going with.
I knew it. Hey, listen, I kind of like Max's Toronto pick, but I think they're going to struggle to get by LeBron James again. Wait, that was the Raptors. Never mind. I do like Edmonton for that. I think Edmonton takes home the Stanley Cup. The very little hockey knowledge that I have, I am picking Edmonton. I'm going to stick with them. I don't care if they don't win a game, score a goal all season. I'm ride them out with my pick, man. That's who it is.
Right.
You'll get some goals.
ride or die.
You'll get some goals.
Ryder, yeah, they should score some goals. I think it's the NHL. They know where the nets are, right? They'll be all right. I bet they can all skate better than I can. I would hate to see myself on ice skates, by the way, man. I love the look of hockey. It sounds like a fun sport. It's really cool. I don't know what I'd be able to contribute laying on my back the entire time. So
it's so hard. It's so hard.
I can't imagine. I have bad knees and ankles too, so that doesn't help. But anyway, just one more quick headline. Sadly, Bears legend and NFL legend Dick Butkus passed away last Thursday, 8 years old, about a week ago. Butkus, two-time All-American at Illinois in the 60s, 8-time Pro Bowler, 5-time first-team NFL guy, 3-time second-team NFL. He was actually NFL All-Decade team in the 60s and the 70s, even though he played just a couple of seasons in the 70s. And then real quick, you guys could, whatever memories you may have, I know some of you are younger. My memories aren't of him on the field. They're of him, on the silver screen. Like I look up and see him in, on a TV show or whatever. And my dad was like, "Hey, this is like the meanest football player ever." And I'm like, Saved by the Bell to college years. I'm like, this guy, like, what are you talking about, But yeah, he redefined, I think, the middle linebacker position. I mean, he brought it into the modern era and made it what it is. And, brought along guys like Mike Singletary and, probably Ray Lewis, along the line. But the one thing that I think I take away from Butkus is just pure toughness, right? I found out something about him this morning that I never knew. He had 2 torn ligaments in his knee. I don't know which knee. It doesn't matter. In high school, played all through college, played 6 years in the NFL, and then decided before his 7th year in the NFL to have that fixed. They literally don't make them anymore like they made Dick Butkus, right? Like they don't make people like that anymore.
That's toughness to a T right there, and you just love to see that in an athlete.
I think when you think fearsome middle linebacker, hard-hitting middle linebacker, the first guy that comes to your mind is Dick Butkus. Like, he defines the middle linebacker position. He set the standard for what it looks like to be a middle linebacker for the last 60 years now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, when I think of Dick Butkus, I just think of someone insane who, no matter what the length of the injury or the extent of it is, they're just going to throw some tape on it, go out there, and continue to make plays. I mean, force 27 fumbles over a 9-year career. That's insane.
I mean, I'm too young. I'm my dad, he has like a bunch of cards and there's like 20 Dick Butkus cards. I'm like, this guy this good? Like, for him to have 20 of the cards. So I mean, as they all said, toughness is the game that he brought to NFL.
Yeah. I am old enough to never have seen him play, but I remember exactly who he is through just commercials, through movies, and kind of along with what Chad was saying. Back then, it was a little different. You didn't see too many athletes transitioning into other things. Usually they would just go away. But he was one of the first to actually get into that and was good at it. It's like a lot of people, he's as popular as in pop culture as an athlete as he is on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, Jim Brown kind of paved the way for him, to I think to allow athletes to kind of be that, to transition, like you said, from one thing to another like that. I like you said, like you guys all said, I mean, but just pure toughness. I mean, the guy had some skin holding his knee together, so it was time to go, right? Play every Sunday. I mean, no big deal. But it's wild. Yeah, I said he was so his quads and his calves, everything was so developed that the torn ligaments didn't even bother him. He just, I don't know, held it together, ragtag, I guess. That's pretty amazing. But
it's a top 5 name of all time, right? Too football name, top 5 football name.
Absolutely.
Because I thought he was a cartoon character when I first heard him. That's how unreal his name was.
You wouldn't have told him that on the field.
No,
I don't think you would have said that to him on the field.
You would have got killed.
I would not.
You would have got killed.
Yeah, you might have said it, but you would have paid for it. But yeah, sadly, like I said, Dick Butkus passes away at 80. Just absolute legend. When I think of like the tough guys of football, right? The guys that I didn't necessarily see play, but I saw highlights of. I think Dick Butkus, Earl Campbell, Jack Tatum. Just he's in that definite like that first tier of like tough guys. So sad to see him pass. We do want to move on a little bit. The baseball playoffs are literally in full swing. I tried not to use a pun there, but what are you going to do? It's me. They're going on, man. There've been some surprises. You see, we've got some teams. I got them on the graphic there. The teams that are no longer with us, sadly, are grayed out. They're gone already. Man, have you guys there's some chaos going on in the playoffs. And what's your overall? What do you guys' overall feel about the playoffs so far? What do you think?
I'm really disappointed in Baltimore. I was looking at the fact that all season they never got swept. in any series all season. They won 101 games, didn't get swept. Then in the playoffs, when it matters most, I'm sorry, what were you trying to say?
That stat is with Adley Rutschman on the roster. They've never been swept on the roster.
Yeah.
Well, I just find it ironic that a team that I don't know, man. I remember just a week ago, I was talking about Baltimore. I was gassing them up. Oh, yeah, they look great. They're American League East. Baseball's weird. The season's 2 million light years long, and then the playoffs is 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. It's just weird to see Baltimore swept and over with.
Yeah.
That's just bizarre.
I mean, it happens. It's that layoff is no joke. I mean, it's almost like you'd rather win the wild card nowadays, I think. It's just hard. Like baseball is such a timing sport. It's like you could take a week off or an extra week off in football. Obviously, I have a week in between games in football, but you can have a bye week, I think, and it doesn't affect that many things. Maybe timing wise with quarterbacks to receivers a little bit, but not a big deal, right? Like it's not a huge deal. But when you're seeing guys throwing 100 miles an hour with 12 inches of run, I think that 4 or 5 days off of seeing live pitching is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just after a couple of days off, all of a sudden they have an ERA of 40 and a half, and nobody can buy an out. And I mean, how does the drop off? How does the talent level go from here to here? And I don't know if I can buy that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's the talent level. I think it's just like you kind of, we talked about it before. When you kind of get to that point, you exhale a little bit, right? We talked about last week on the show when you win the division or clinch the spot or whatever it is, you kind of tend to, all right, we're there, and I think if you do that for too long, you can kind of you work yourself into a little bit of a lull,
What's Atlanta's excuse? They didn't back in.
No, they didn't back in at all, but they had that week off, that layoff. I think that, and listen, I've said it before, and I'll say it again on the show. I love the Braves. I'm a Braves fan. Great comeback the other night. I mean, that game was, and we'll get into it a little bit later. I mean, that was exciting. That was as exciting as it gets, right? But the thing is, the Braves are just built differently than the Phillies. Like I watched the Phillies have tough at bats, right? Like every at bat is tough. Like I feel like we can't get anybody out. Like it's just every single at bat is tough. And the Braves are up there. They're the best offense of all time, maybe, and they're just waving at everything. I mean, there's no real game plan at the plate. Like you could see the Phillies have an actual plan at the plate, like trying to make things happen, right? The Braves don't seem to have that. They didn't seem to have it until they ran into a couple of home runs late in the game the other night, right? Like it's not like they put together some huge rally and manufactured 6 or 7 runs in an inning, and we said, oh wow, like look at this team go. They're really clicking now. It's like a couple of guys got a barrel on a ball, and I don't know, like it's a good win. I'll take it, but I don't think it's necessarily a harbinger of like, okay, now the Braves are ready. Maybe that exciting ending kind of wakes them up a little bit. Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll just see.
Chad, I completely agree with you. I think that time off has really affected the first round buys for the teams. I mean, look at the Dodgers. They're down 2-0 to the Diamondbacks. And granted, yes, the Diamondbacks are in the NL West with the Dodgers, so it's going to be tough in the division. But at the same time, the Diamondbacks are on fire right now. Their offense is exploding. Doesn't matter if they're in Milwaukee. Doesn't matter if they're in LA. And it all starts with Corbin Carroll just having a great rookie year. And he's really leading that team to the charge, breaking records in the regular season and the postseason. And I think he's really leading that team to that offensive train that they're on. And they have a chance to close out and sweep the Dodgers tonight. I mean, Arizona surprises me the most, really, out of all these playoffs.
Yeah, that'd be very weird to see the Dodgers go out tonight also.
And
Chad, it's wide open now.
Yeah.
Outside of the Braves, it looks like it's going to be a guy that we didn't pick at all or see coming.
Yeah. Well, listen, I still am. Listen, I don't want to pick a bit against the Braves, but I still think we could end up seeing the Rangers and the Phillies in the World Series. I really do.
Yeah.
Chad, you said about the Phillies lineup, how there's just all the at bats are tough, up 1 through 9 in the order. It's the same way with the Texas Rangers. They do not have a single hole in that lineup, and their lineup 1 through 9, I think, is arguably the best in baseball, up there with the Braves, up there with the Phillies.
Yeah.
And this Rangers team reminds me a lot of the Phillies team from last year. They just mash up and down the lineup. They've got a couple really good starting pitchers that are like bulldogs in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
The bullpen's questionable, but they have a manager that can piece it together. So I'm all in on this Rangers team.
They haven't lost a game in the playoffs. I mean, they're on fire.
I am all in on this
5 in a
Rangers
row.
team right
5 in a
now.
row.
Here's a stat for you guys. The AL East lost every single game in the playoffs they were in.
AL
So
East.
That's kind of crazy when you think about
Baltimore,
it.
Tampa Bay, and Toronto.
And that's
Wow.
what's
In April, we would have said that's by far the toughest division with the NL East, right? The AL East and the NL East were the class, right?
All the year they said it was the toughest division in the American League.
obviously not. They're choking in the postseason.
Wow.
They can get
Especially Tampa Bay going like 28-2.
And we're talking about how the buys are affecting all these teams. The Houston Astros last year without a bye or with the bye won the World Series, only lost one playoff game on the way to the World Series. And this year again, they're proving to have no problem with it. So I don't know if it's their postseason experience because
I think it is.
These are when you know what's coming, Nick. I'm kidding.
the Astros are just good. Like they're just
I don't think they're still doing that.
and have so much playoff experience that I think they're ready for any task. But the Dodgers do too, though. That's the thing. So the Dodgers, it's a little shocking, like 2 years in a row now to come off these bye coming out flat. I don't think it's an excuse because the Houston Astros don't make it look like a problem to them.
Well, listen, I think for the Dodgers, it's kind of the same thing the Braves ran into in the 2000s, right? Where it's like, okay, you have one fluke where you get knocked out early, and then it's like, okay, then it happens again, and then it happens again. And now it starts to become the norm. And now it's like you almost start to dread the end of the regular season if you're one of these teams, right? Like you've got the playoff spot wrapped up, you've won the division, whatever it is, and now you're like, okay, here comes October. We got to like this year, we can't get off to that slow start. And then you start white knuckling the bat, and you start gripping a fastball too tight or whatever it is. I mean, it's just you can physically see that like the Phillies came out free and easy in game one. The Braves did not, right? The Braves really didn't wake up until I don't know, maybe the seventh
inning game two,
The seventh inning.
game two.
Because Zach Wheeler was dealing. He was painting the corners. He was making them swing out of their shoes. I mean, Zach Wheeler has had a really good postseason so far. And
he's so good. He's built so much for the postseason. That hard fastball up in the zone and the hard slider away. He tunnels his pitches really well. Good mechanics, good repeatable mechanics. He's a really good playoff pitcher. The Phillies have those guys, man.
I definitely think if the Phillies move forward, I definitely can see him as an NLCS MVP. And like against Miami, like Miami was like, what are we doing here? Like we don't belong here. Like Zach Wheeler's just got our number, and he's really done well. I know when in the regular season when we saw him in Cleveland, he pitched really well too. So he's really pitched well all season.
Yeah. He and Nola are a little bit scary. As a good 1-2 punch. And I've always said since the days that the Braves used to get like eliminated by teams like the Cubs with like Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood at the top of the lineup or at the top of the rotation. And I've always said since those days, I think you need those like that 1-2 punch that like are really power pitchers in October, right? Because the guys that throw like like think of Greg Maddux in October. Maddux wasn't great as the weather started to change in October, right? Like if you look at his late playoff numbers, he was really good for the first couple of series or whatever. He was good. He'd shut a team out. Whatever. He looked like Greg Maddux. But as you get into those games in like New York or wherever they were, when it's 40 degrees and the ball just doesn't cut through the air the same. Like his ball, literally, I mean, you could see it would have less movement. He just didn't have the bite that he had, in August and September. And it made him very hittable. I mean, at 87, 88 miles an hour without 4 or 5 inches of extra run, you're going to run into those problems. And I always said, I wish the Braves had, back in the day, I wish they had that 1-2 like Pryor and Wood, because man, if they could have paired that with some of the offenses they had in the 2000s,
Tom Glavine was the best pitcher in the playoffs usually for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And because, he didn't really rely on a lot of movement. He bulldoggedly pitched to that outside corner, and then he would bust it in on you. I mean, he just really hit his spots really, really well. Changed speeds and hit his spots. And sometimes in the playoffs, that's all you really need. But the power pitching helps.
So who do we look at now? Who do we see our final? Who's the World Series?
Well, I still like the Rangers from the AL. I do. I just don't. I think the Astros are good, but I don't know. I think it's gonna be crazy. I assume the Astros are gonna move on. I assume they're gonna. I think they'll eliminate the Twins now. They're up 2-1. I like the Rangers personally. I think the Rangers they're not going to surprise the Astros. They're divisional foes. It's not like they're going to run up on and sneak up on them, right? But I do think the Rangers are going to have something for Houston here. I don't see the Astros beating the Rangers right now. I really don't.
I think it's going to be the Rangers versus the winner of the Phillies Braves series is my prediction. That is my prediction for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that is the stronger side of the National League side. I still think it's going to be Astros and Braves. Obviously, if the Braves lose to the Phillies, I think my next pick would be the Astros and the Phillies, because don't get me wrong. Like I said before, Arizona's been playing great, but I don't think they can continue that against the Phillies or the Braves. I don't think they have enough offense to overcome them to make it to the World Series. But it's postseason baseball. We start from zero, and anything can happen. But that's my pick as of right now.
Get in to win, right? Jameson, you've been back there in the corner. I feel like you have a very hot take. You've just been like, very inconspicuously back there in the corner. I feel like you got something for us, man. What's the World Series matchup?
Nah, I'm gonna still stick with the Phillies winning the World Series. I just think they have too much star power and batting power, and as Jared said, they have probably the best 1-2 healthy pitching combo right now in the playoffs. But if I had to pick, it would have to be the Phillies and Astros in a rematch. Actually, I think the Astros would be probably the only team right now able to slay the hot Rangers. The Rangers, they haven't lost a game this playoffs, but the Astros are still one of the best veteran-built teams. Yeah. They are still one of the best managed teams, and they're all around good everywhere. They're not necessarily doing great in everything,
but they're doing enough to win.
But they're doing enough to win, exactly.
Everywhere.
Postseason experience,
and they have the most postseason experience. And honestly, I think they'll probably win it today against the Twins. And if they can get a win today, I think that will give them momentum going against the Rangers, despite the Rangers not losing the game. So I would take the Phillies in 7 in a rematch with the Astros.
Okay. I don't disagree with you. I mean, I don't want to see that happen, but I do agree with you guys that I think it's the winner of the Phillies-Braves series. Also, I want to just your T-shirt. I mean, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, right?
Yeah,
most important meal of the day. Gotta have a nice bowl of cinnamon toast, whatever. Max, let's move on. World Series matchup, man. Who do you got?
I have the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Just playing themselves?
I have the Arizona Diamondbacks
here.
facing the
That's a much easier path.
Diamondbacks Rangers.
Okay.
That would be an interesting match.
Diamondbacks in 6.
Love to see
that would be a fun series.
I would actually watch most of that.
I was about to say, does anybody even watch that with two teams out west? You know how the West Coast bias. I mean, you know how that goes. But yeah, I'd watch it.
The Diamondbacks in 6.
I could see that just because the Rangers.
The Diamondbacks are horrible. That is so odd to see this World Series.
Yeah, and for a while at the beginning of the year, Jackson, they actually looked like the best team in baseball for a minute. Like they were really good in April and May.
But they were so bad last year, historically bad.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
2 years ago. 110
Yeah, that's why baseball's so weird. Those kind of turnarounds aren't typical, but you see them sometimes. I mean, listen, the Orioles could fall back into obscurity next year. The Orioles could win 70 games next year. You never know. Wouldn't it be sad to see them run away with the whole American League and then get swept in the first round of the playoffs and then just not even make it back? Like, that'd be terrible.
It's all about the farm system and how you reload. It's not about rebuilding. It's about reloading. It depends where your front office comes from, your GM, your general manager, everything.
That's why the Dodgers never fall off.
Yeah, agreed. I was going to get into all these series a little bit. I don't want to get too far into it, but we talked about the Rangers. They swept the Orioles. There's nothing really what do you take away from it? The Orioles got kind of cold in the layoff. The Rangers are hot. Whatever. It's done. But I want to talk about the Braves-Phillies series for a minute. They're tied 1-1. I think, obviously not just because I'm a Braves fan or whatever, but I think this is the most interesting series now.
For sure.
What happens in Philadelphia tonight? Like it's first of all, that place is going to be wild. That place is raucous, man. Like Philly fans are amazing. I have to say I don't like them right now because the Braves are playing them, but man, I love the way a baseball game sounds in Philadelphia. It's amazing. It's an amazing atmosphere. I don't want my team to be any part of it, but it's whatever. Here we are. So, I mean, what do you guys think? What's that, Jackson?
They have fans that argue with kids. I saw that on the internet.
Yeah, I don't like that. I like the individual one-off stuff about Philly fans is terrible. I don't want to get into that, though. For the most part, it's just a loud building, I guess. It's going to be a tough place to play. Tyler Matzik says they're ready. Says the Braves are ready. He likes that stuff. Is that going to be a factor?
Why do the Braves not have a pitcher name tonight?
Bryce Elder's pitching.
He is? Okay, because it says undecided right now, and it's versus Aaron Nola. So if the Braves don't have a if the Braves didn't have a game plan going in pitching wise, I was definitely going to
Shocked it's not
He's
right.
Yeah, I
either
don't know. It's that they didn't have a game plan. I think they were back and forth between Elder and then just maybe a bullpen game. But you can't. I don't know if you can really. The only advantage to a bullpen game in the playoffs is that a team never gets settled in. But a bullpen game is risky because if you get one guy that's not ready to go, you can give up 3 or 4 runs real quick and be out of the game. And
That's why the travel day is so
one. I don't love that.
Yeah, that's why the travel day is so important. At the end of the day, though, it's the city of brotherly love. You're playing at Citizens Bank Park. You have Aaron Nola on the bump. Has a lot of postseason experience, especially in the NLCS last year against the Padres. So I think with those conditions, I do think Philly goes up 2-1. And do the Braves make it 2-2? Yes, but at the end of the day, do I think the Braves have enough offensive power to win in 5? I don't think so because they've just been up and down the whole series.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? We're talking about maybe the best offensive team of all time, and we're saying they don't have enough offensive power to win the series. But I don't disagree with you. I mean, this is my team, and I don't disagree with you. They just haven't looked the same in the playoffs. We'll see. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll wake up. But I don't know. We'll see.
I think that Phil, it's going to be like last season again in the NLDS. It's going to be Philadelphia is going to get a roll. And then everyone's going to start going crazy, and then there's going to be a bat spike by somebody. I don't know who. Can't be Reese Hoskins because he's hurt, but
Probably Bryson Stott. That's the guy.
It'll
He
be
can
something
still spike the bat. I mean, he can. He doesn't have to be on the field. He can still spike it. It's fine.
we'll see.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the Phillies. I was going to say something, but I don't want to do that. I'm not going to go there. Let's just move on. Actually, I want to move on to the Astros Twins series. There's really not a whole lot of. I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place. I'm out of order on my graphics, but the Astros Twins series isn't real. I don't know. There's nothing newsworthy coming out of there. The Astros are just kind of handling their business. I don't expect the Twins to move on there. Do you guys think they have any chance to bring this back to a decent series or no?
Unless they can clone Pablo Lopez, I don't think
Yeah.
the Twins really have much
Well, I mean,
of a
it's
shot.
it's Carlos Correa too.
Yeah.
He's their whole offense in the postseason. I mean, historically even with the Astros, he's been good in the postseason.
Yeah.
They showed a stat yesterday, I believe it was. Carlos Correa was 2 for 3 with runners in scoring position in the postseason, and the whole rest of the Twins lineup was like 2 for 25 with runners in scoring position.
That's bad.
And it's basically just Correa and then occasionally Jorge Polanco.
If they can win this game and get to Game 5 with potentially Pablo Lopez on the bump, they have a chance. They have to.
Who pitch? What's the pitching matchup for Game 4?
It is a oh boy.
It's definitely
it's
not
Joe
something
Ryan and Jose Urquidy for the Astros. So
Joe
it-
Ryan is
It's kinda
So
even.
the Twins definitely have a chance, and I hate to say that as an Indians fan, but they definitely have a chance.
I mean, Joe Ryan's not that bad. He's a decent pitcher. It just
Mhm.
depends what Joe Ryan shows up. He's a 500 pitcher for sure, I think.
he's a coin flip. That's it. Coin flip.
Okay. Coin flip isn't what you want to hear in the playoffs, but you never know. It can go either way. That's
Yeah,
the
that's
nature
all-
of a coin flip.
That's all
So.
you can hope on for right now. You're down 2-1. Your season's on the line.
Right.
And
You're waiting for your ace.
Urquidy's not a proven big game pitcher. He's had a couple good starts in the playoffs before, but he's not a proven big game pitcher either.
I'm actually shocked the Astros didn't throw out Fran Beer, but I guess he is pretty bad on the road, and I guess with him having a bad start at home, they didn't want to take their chances with that. Maybe he'll be in a bullpen role because Urquidy doesn't go long. He's usually like about 4 2/3 inning pitcher, but
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like the Astros pitching was their strength last year, and this year it's been kind of it's a little bit of a ragtag group. It feels like it's a little patched together.
it's been a long ball.
Their pitching this year has been why they have not been as dominant
Yeah.
in the regular season.
Why the
But
AL
your guys' point earlier, they do everything else well enough that here they are again. They're on the cusp of really being the favorites. So
Everything good enough.
Mhm.
Yeah. that's Dusty Baker. I mean, that's period. That's Dusty Baker. That's it. Right?
No, yeah, that's always been his
And
team.
Bruce Bochy also deserves a shout out too, though. Like these old managers are leading their teams as well as they possibly can. Right now.
Yeah. And listen, I mean, the hitting coach, listen, for the Astros, Troy Snitker, I mean, always seems to have those guys. I mean, trash cans aside, maybe I'm biased because it's Brian Snitker's son, but he just seems to always have the Astros ready. I mean, they always have a good offensive game plan. I mean, I'll be watching the Braves struggle. They'll be down 0.3 to nothing in like the 50th inning of a playoff game because they can't score. And I'm like looking at my phone, I'm looking at the updates, and it's like Astros home run, Astros, like multiple angles of videos of Astros home runs because they've hit 27 of them, and I'm like, all right, well, I want to score. Like, I want to have fun. But yeah, they just seem to always be ready. I don't know. I mean, maybe they know what's coming, maybe they don't, but they seem to be ready for sure, one way or another. I'm going to move on to our second. Well, my favorite. I don't know what. I'm talking for you guys. Sorry about that. My second favorite thing to watch while the baseball playoffs are going off in the fall. Normally I love college football, but it takes a little bit of a back seat when there's playoff baseball on. But yeah, we got to get into college, man. There's some really weird stuff that went on this weekend. Don't you guys think?
A lot of
weird
upsets.
games and what's that?
A lot of upsets.
Yeah, a lot of upsets, a lot of weird ways to lose, just all kinds of stuff. Let me ask you this: did Georgia finally look like the #1 team in the nation to you guys?
Yeah, we whiffed on that, man. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
we
lie.
did. We
I'll
did.
come
We did a
out.
little bit.
I'll say it. Put my hand on the Bible, whatever. But Kentucky, I think, is more fraudulent than Georgia, proving they're the #1. But I also think that Carson Beck should get a little bit more respect on his name. And I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't big on this guy. I didn't think he would be able to take the car keys from Stetson Bennett. No joke was there, by the way. But I do think that Beck and Bowers, they're just showing that they're the absolute heart of that Georgia offense. My only concern is that they don't seem to have like that true running back, because like the Bulldogs always have like that one back that no matter how bad the game plan's going, they can just force feed them the ball. But I guess that back is now basically their tight end, Brock Bowers. But
That's exactly yep. That's exactly what I was going to say. You can kind of use Brock Bowers in that short passing game as a de facto running back. I mean, he's so sure-handed that he's going to get open. He's going to make a 4 or 5 yard catch. I mean, that's as good as having a running back that can get you 4 or 5 yards of carry.
I mean, you are right, Jameson, that Georgia's offensive struggle is in the running game.
mm-hmm.
And they did look like the #1 team this past weekend. But at the end of the day, that's just one game. Like, we have to see it recur over and over again. Because we saw it recur over and over again early in the season, them barely winning. Now we need to see them beating everyone by 40 points, game in, game out, to continue their #1 status. It's great for Georgia fans. Happy for them. Hope you don't win the championship again, obviously. But it's one game. Like, they have to show that they can continue to do that until the SEC championship game and the college football playoffs.
I know a couple of Georgia fans, guys from the South that are legitimate Georgia fans, not like, in the last couple of years or whatever. I want to say this about Georgia fans. I think everybody gets on them, but I want to say this. You're insufferable, okay? You are insufferable. I don't want to hear it anymore. All right? Georgia, I mean, how many times did Georgia start 9-0, 10-0 in the night, only to lose the big game? Mark Richt could never win any. This run's got to end soon. I'm so tired of this. They don't deserve this, do they? This is garbage. I hate this.
That's why I'm not upset about them losing, because we need something new.
Yeah. And listen, seriously, I know my friends that root for Georgia are going to watch the show and have something to say, but seriously though, Georgia, do you think they just get? Maybe they're a little bored with the regular season right now. I mean, do you think that's a thing?
Well, they're not playing anybody.
Yeah.
They have Vanderbilt this week.
Ooh.
Vanderbilt.
Put in the second.
Literally,
Vanderbilt shouldn't even be in the SEC.
No, they should be in.
It should be in the MAC.
Well, I don't know. They leave the SEC and all academic guys.
My sister goes to Toledo, and Toledo could beat Vanderbilt. That's how bad they are.
Shout out Daquan Finn.
With his sister on the field, they could beat Vanderbilt.
It's like not even. It's like not even funny. Georgia doesn't play anybody.
No, they do have the softest schedule, man.
Like, they don't play Tennessee this year.
Mm-mm. They don't play LSU this year.
They don't play Bama.
They don't
play
exactly.
Ole
They were.
Miss.
I think they were scared.
They don't even play Ole Miss.
Well, they don't get to pick their own schedule. I mean, they didn't run from Bama. They didn't say like, well, no, we don't want Bama this year. It's just the way it happens. But I can't blame a team for their schedule. I can't blame a team because the conference schedule gets put out by the conference, whatever. The non-conference schedule is like a decade ago is when all this stuff got solidified. You know what I mean? But I try not to dump on people. I don't like the SEC, like the Division II warm up before the Week 9. I don't like that stuff. But I don't know. I try not to dump on teams for this. Everybody's got a bad schedule. What are you gonna do?
So check that. Georgia does play Tennessee and Ole Miss.
Yeah, they do. So they do have 2 highly ranked games towards the end of the
See, now we're just lying to make them look bad. I'm just kidding.
I'm just curious,
which I'm fine with, by the way. I'm fine
I'm
with
just
it.
curious if this Georgia run is going to look more like the Clemson run that was like 5 years of being really, really good, or like the Alabama run that turns into 6 or 7 titles, 15 years of dominance. Like, I'm really curious to see
I can't do
what
it that.
direction
Neither.
what direction this Georgia program goes into. I'm really curious.
That's a great question.
I don't want to discredit Kirby Smart. He's a great coach. Love what he's done in Georgia, but I don't think he can turn into Nick Saban 2.0.
That's fair.
Some people say he was the reason Nick Saban was Nick Saban, though.
He's the only Nick Saban assistant that's been able to beat Nick Saban and take over the SEC. He's the only Nick Saban assistant that's been able to do that. So I wouldn't count out Kirby Smart. I think they end up in the middle. I think they can win 3 or 4 total championships, maybe 1 or 2 more. But
until they get washed.
I don't know if this year is the year that they're gonna win their 3rd straight because they just haven't. I mean, they look good, but I just don't think that they are as dominant as they have.
It'll be Georgia, Ohio State for the Natty.
All right, fun. I like it. I like it. I don't have a problem with that.
If you think of it, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was just like, you look at other teams in college football, like you look at what they've played already.
Mhm.
Like Ohio State's played Notre Dame already. They played. Who did they play?
You can stop there.
A good Maryland team this weekend.
Okay, Maryland team.
Well, okay, yeah, but
the best they've ever faced.
Okay, there you go. I like Mike Locksley. I don't mean to like sell him short or sell Maryland short. They're just not,
It's with like Georgia and Michigan and everybody else. Like they haven't, like Michigan hasn't faced anybody.
Yeah.
They have not faced anybody. Georgia hasn't faced anybody.
And it's literally only those 2 top teams, I feel, because like even Texas and like honestly, this year, call me crazy, but I think the Pac-12 has been better than the SEC.
Oh, it has.
No, not crazy. You're 100% right. They passed the eye test. They look really good.
I don't disagree with that. I definitely think the Pac-12 is definitely more entertaining than the SEC this year by a mile.
Both in quarterback play and just
in
who they play.
matchups, just in matchups.
Yeah, in the matchups.
It's like,
Hey, listen, guys. Speaking of the Pac-12 real quick, though, let's go to a coach that used to coach in the Pac-12 and who I think blew it this weekend. Man, you think Ohio State fans are crazy, by the way. Miami started, 5-0, and now people want Cristobal out of there. Mario Cristobal, they want him gone. Because did you guys see the gaffe at the end of that game?
That was the dumbest thing I've seen in college football history.
He blamed it on the quarterback. He blamed it on the quarterback.
Oh, no, he blamed it on the running back for not holding on to the football. Listen, it's the second time Cristobal's done that in his coaching career. It's the second time he could have ended a game with a simple kneel. And instead, let's run a play because I'm Mario Cristobal. I don't take negative yards. Let's go get yards, right? And then you give the ball up and you lose. That's amazing.
That's his style, though. He doesn't even want to down the ball. His style is to play kind of like the video game way, just to stack your stats and just keep accumulating until the clock says 0. What came back to bite him. You don't do that when it's a 1-possession game.
It's like Giannis throwing the ball at the rim during the season just to get a triple-double or something.
Pretty much.
Right. When you're that level, there's no reason to do things like that. You're out coaching yourself. You're getting people to want to fire. It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
It makes.
We've said it before on the show, Jackson. You bring up the point all the time. It's hard to get a win, right? At the Division I college level. It's really, really hard to pick up a win. When you have a win secured, take it. Take it. Don't untie the bow and see what's in the box. Just take it and go. That's it.
He literally said at his post-game interview, whoever their quarterback was should have known to take a knee. He said the quarterback.
Said that? I thought he blamed the running back for not, because I know he said we talk about using 2 hands. I know
He blamed both of them. He blamed the quarterback for not changing the play.
Listen, fire him. That's not a leader. Fire him.
But then if the quarterback does change the play, and then when he goes back to the sideline, the coach is yelling, "Why'd you do that?
Yeah.
Why didn't you run the clock?"
I'm not an idiot.
Right. He literally.
Okay, so Mario Cristobal is a guy that we agree knows a lot about football. Okay, we can agree on that, right?
At the end of the day, I think Miami's not going to be able to come back from this. They're not going to be able to go up in the rankings. They're not going to be able to have a good season.
They have a tough North Carolina game this week too. Now.
Oh yeah.
A lot of those players were crying.
This is a game changer. This literally changes the national perception of where their program is. It changes their attitude. It changes everything. This was a huge, huge play. I mean, that was unbelievable.
It would have been better if Georgia Tech had just beat them straight up, by 14, on just normal football. Miami could have came out looking so much better if they just took an L as opposed to giving themselves an L,
Yeah. And listen, if the committee comes down to it, let's say Miami finishes 11-1, okay, or 12-1, whatever, wins the ACC championship. Okay, they're there. If it comes down to them and another team with 1 loss, do you think that? Do does the committee put in a team who I don't know, man? Maybe that makes I don't know if it makes a difference or
Georgia
not,
Tech
but
loss definitely.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's
Ohio State
unranked.
Yeah, but you can say under
Purdue lost.
normal circumstances, Miami won that game. I wouldn't hold that loss against them. I'd hold it against the coach. He's the
Yeah.
one that kind of ruined it. The team did their part. They won the game.
Yeah.
Remember in 2021 when Oregon came to Ohio State and beat Ohio State?
Yeah.
Ohio State was 2, Oregon was what, 4 or 5 at the time?
Yeah.
Ohio
6 or
State
7
won
somewhere.
it.
Yeah.
Ohio State like went down to 10, but then they got back up and then I think they made the college.
Yeah.
They made the playoff that year.
No, we lost to Michigan that year.
Yeah. They lost to
Oh
Michigan.
yeah, that was right. That was the year we went 10-2.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
They played
that-
Washington.
So we lost to Oregon in the home opener, the beginning of the year, dropped us down to 10, and then we fight all the way back to number 2. And that was against State, was like number 7, and we showed up and beat them like 55-7. It's like, I think like, you know how like if you lose 2 games, you're not in the playoff pretty much.
Pretty much.
That was back when Mel Tucker secured the bag for Michigan State, by the way, and that did not turn out well.
Yeah, it's like
what-
when you lose 2 games in the
Man.
playoff, like in this regular season, you're not making the playoff. But if you lose a game and you stupidly, like you're dumb losing the game, you look like stupid, and you're a ranked team and you lose that game, you're not making the playoff.
I think it plays into the decision. I think later on you go, listen, we can't put Mario Cristobal in there because I don't know. I mean, maybe it makes it. In my mind, it makes a difference. I don't know if
Remember
it makes a
that year
difference.
Cincinnati was undefeated and they just like got blown out by Bama, like the fraudulent year of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I mean, give credit to Georgia Tech, man. I mean, they saw an opportunity, they took it, and they won the game. So
Yeah.
hats off to them to keep fighting the whole way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I definitely think it's
It's
gonna
almost like
program for
it's
sure.
almost like saying because of what happened, Georgia Tech couldn't move up at all. And like I know they're not in the top 25, but what I'm saying is the way that game went, that they know they should have lost. I can't give them a lot of credit.
Yeah.
I can give them credit for the last play, the kid catching the ball. The ball had to be thrown. Someone had to catch it.
Yeah.
I give all that credit.
How does the
But
Miami defense let him get
none of that should even have been happening.
That's another coaching mistake. That's
Yeah, they
another
obviously shouldn't have been in that position.
Yeah.
This Miami have their
Well,
own-
listen, since everybody's talking at once, let's just move on because I don't know what anybody's saying right now, to be honest with you. But I just want to move on because, listen, there was another really close game, Oklahoma and Texas, right? That game was a thriller. That game came down to the last seconds. No one blew that game, right? I mean, Oklahoma went down and won it, right? I mean, you guys saw the ending of that, right?
Yeah,
Came
Texas.
out who wanted it more.
Yeah, I mean, 15 seconds on the clock. Dylan Gabriel finds Nick Anderson in the end zone. What an exciting ending. I mean, I didn't know what to expect from that game. I didn't know who Oklahoma and Texas were. I don't know if we still really know because this season's really just in flux. I don't know who's good and who's great and who's whatever. But that was a great game. I'm sorry.
Last year it was 49-0.
I was about to say that. Last year, Texas blew Oklahoma out.
So this year, I'm not surprised at what happened. I didn't think Oklahoma was gonna. I thought there was revenge on their mind.
Yeah.
I think they were feeling a little salty and embarrassed after last year. It doesn't fit the stigma of the series of the rivalry itself.
Yeah.
I kind of think Texas was in trouble.
Okay.
Well, let's be honest here. Oklahoma is a lot better this year than they were last year, hence why they
Way
got
better.
blown out. And even though Oklahoma was ranked number 12 going into the game, I didn't think they were that good, like Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray type good, to beat a top 3 team like Texas. And
Well, especially since they had struggled against Cincinnati. I mean, I thought maybe we caught them looking ahead a little bit, but they struggled against Cincinnati. I don't know.
And I didn't even think the rivalry between Texas and Oklahoma was that big, but they obviously showed it on Saturday and really proved that they have a shot making the playoff if they can win out.
It was, and remember, last season was when Lincoln Riley left for USC. So their offensive coordinator, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Venable.
The offensive coordinator for Oklahoma got the head coaching job. First ever head coaching job for him. I understand he's gonna it's a big game, but you really don't want to get destroyed against your rival.
Yeah.
And then this year you come out and you come back and win.
On the road.
Yeah.
Well, it's in the Cotton Bowl every year.
Now they're 6-0.
Oh,
Yeah,
what?
it is. It's
So-
really- it's
I actually did not know that.
But I think that the story of this game is that Dylan Gabriel, he's been heavily doubted. People have not put him in the same tier
I
as
never heard about him until
the other Oklahoma quarterbacks that they've had in recent years.
Yeah.
But I think he proved that he is an elite quarterback in college football. That last drive, he was money. He was nails the whole game too. He was making the accurate throws. He was using his legs. I didn't know he's mobile like that.
Is Oklahoma QBU?
They might be. Jalen Hurts too. Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Sam Bradford. They have a lot of great
claim, right? They can lay a claim.
They can.
I don't know. That was a good game. I don't know. I think we'll find out more about Oklahoma as we go on. They've obviously got to get through the rest of their schedule as well. We're not going to know anything until week 14 or 15. We're not going to know this stuff. But it's fun to try to speculate, right? Can we talk about what Notre Dame did to themselves and to Ohio State real quick here? So Notre Dame exposed themselves as frauds, right? Like, we're done with Notre Dame.
In the foot, they just didn't play well.
I think they were too nervous because Jack Harlow and Donovan Mitchell were in the building. Oh my God, the celebrities at our game! Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely think Notre Dame shot himself in the foot. Don't discredit Louisville. They've had a great season up to this point, really since Lamar Jackson left. But Notre Dame just hasn't been able to click offensively. It wasn't even their defense that really disappointed me. It was more offensively. Offensively, after Ohio State, they haven't been the same. Like, they barely beat Duke, and they scored, I think it was 10 points against Louisville, and they haven't been the same since. And I definitely think that their offensive struggles are going to continue down the road. They move all the way down from 10 to 21.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that's crazy with Notre Dame, they do this every year. They're ranked high. They win a few games. They're undefeated. But I think we talked about this, the two-loss syndrome. I think when you're a kid in college, especially like Notre Dame with such tradition, when you get to that two-loss part, it's hard to get gassed up every week from here on out. Because now you're just looking for a bowl game. You're looking for a meaningless bowl game to be played in late December, early January. You hope to get one of the Big Six. You probably won't, though. But because you're Notre Dame, you have a chance. But they're picked to beat USC, and I just don't see – Notre Dame could lose more this year.
And Jackson, you're not wrong either, because I think it's this week they face USC.
Yes.
Yeah. They're going to get
so that's well, USC defense is terrible. So I mean, Notre Dame might have a shot just because of how bad USC's defense is.
Yeah.
But you're also facing Caleb Williams. So.
Jackson, what you just said is so true, especially for Notre Dame, because they don't even have a conference title game they can try and play.
That's it. Yeah, that's the thing. They don't have a conference to win. They just I
don't want to say they don't care anymore, but how do you get? What are you playing for now?
But you could understand if there was a letdown.
Yourself, pride, draft stock, as Jameson said. You know, like you want to try to get as high in the draft as you can. So you have to really play for yourself at the end of the day and for your scholarship.
The years that Notre Dame went to the college football playoff were fraud. They were fraudulent years. Because I think if they go to the ACC, then and they're in the title game, then I think they're better. They go to the national championship game one of those 2 years.
Yeah, they're never going to do that unless the NCAA absolutely forces their hand. They're never going to do that.
They have ACC this year. They wouldn't even be in the top 3 teams in the ACC.
No, they wouldn't. But
or the Big Ten.
Yeah, or the Pac-12 or the Pac-10. Notre Dame wouldn't be in the top 3 in like 4 power conferences.
Or Conference USA. I'm kidding.
But
it doesn't even exist anymore.
Notre Dame and everything, they when they were in the college football playoff, they got selected and they had 2 weeks off.
Well, everybody knows. I think Ohio State should have been in the playoff that year to play Alabama. I mean, Notre Dame got blown out, but
was that the year
they would have been in if they just would have. But it doesn't matter. It's revisionist history. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Notre Dame's never really put together a modern team that I think has had a shot to win a title. Right?
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
But USC, let's talk about USC real quick because they escaped. I mean, they escaped Arizona, right? Like, they barely escaped Arizona this weekend.
I don't remember
that game.
The first ever football ISO play call I've ever seen. Can we talk about that? Lincoln Riley called an isolation on the football field like Caleb Williams was Allen Iverson on Tyronn Lue. That is insane. I have never seen a coach just go out there and make the man miss. Like, he just moved all his linemen to the left, he had one block, which was a great block by the running back, by the way. And then
Better
he
than
just
Ezekiel Elliott.
and then he just absolutely embarrassed the defensive back. I didn't see much of the game. I didn't watch it.
No, it was on late.
Yeah, it was
I
very
didn't
late.
I didn't think there was going to be a reason to watch it.
Right,
Especially in
Exactly.
triple overtime too.
Especially-
Like,
yeah.
that's
Arizona.
I saw that score update and I was like, what? I mean, I literally was like, hold on, what?
like,
The
like,
only
like I
Got to
said,
the point where they had to start going for 2-point conversions in overtime against Arizona. Like, that's a problem.
But you know what, though? That's good, though. It's good that these teams are not blowing people out. Like USC struggles, Texas got beat.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, as Jeremy said, at the end of the day, the Buckeyes are getting so much help right now just because everyone else is so suspect. And even the Buckeyes aren't perfect, but they're getting the help necessary from the Notre Dames. They're getting the help necessary from USC.
Yeah.
It's like Florida State.
Well, they're
Everybody
now where they got to start helping themselves because it's the schedule flips a little bit here now, you know?
yeah,
No doubt.
you get more into conference play, you get more into tougher matchups, the weather starts changing.
Yeah.
All big factors.
It starts this weekend against Purdue on the road. I mean, Purdue, Penn State, Wisconsin, Michigan, it's all right there. It's all right there. We're looking at 1, 2, easy.
Cards on the table.
This is the
Right.
month. I think October's the month where you find out about your championship contenders, right? When you get into mid-October, early November, you know.
We'll right, Chad. I was gonna say we'll know it in 4 weeks who we are.
Yep.
For real. We'll know if we belong in the playoffs or
And
not.
it doesn't even necessarily mean, I know what people think. Like, well, of course, if they lose 2 games, yeah, you'll know who they are. But I think you'll also know if they're sitting there at 9-0, 10-0. I think you'll still know who they are and if they have a legitimate shot to win a title. If they're 10-0, I think there's still a chance you can say, no, they're 10-0, but they're not good enough. You know what I mean? Like, you just get to see a more
They get in, they're going to get blown out. I feel like
You
if
never know.
USC gets in, they're getting blown
Oh,
out.
we're talking about you.
You never
Yeah.
know.
Last year,
Historically, going back to me being a teenager, Purdue is trouble. It doesn't matter who the rosters are, who's the coaches, where it's at. Purdue is trouble for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't like West Lafayette. I have nothing against the town. I don't like Ross-Ade Stadium because weird
Yeah,
things happen to the Buckeyes
I
there.
don't. I
Last
just
time-
get weird vibes.
last time Ohio State went to Purdue was when we got
2002.
we lost.
Yeah.
The David Bell game.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost that game.
And they
Let's not
lost.
speak of that. Let's just not talk about it. Speaking of America's team, right? Notre Dame's America's team. Everybody loves Notre Dame, right? Not really, but speaking of America's teams exposing themselves as frauds. Wow, Cowboys.
Cowgirls.
Don't remind me of it, Chad. Don't remind me.
Cowboys exposed themselves as Notre Dame. Like, what the heck happened? Like, what? I mean, I'm sorry, Jared, but dude,
I mean,
I'm sure you watched the game, right?
I saw this coming in, Chad. As a Cowboys fan.
Well, listen, I see it coming as a Browns fan. Don't feel bad. It's okay.
Yeah, I saw this coming in full swing. I mean, the 49ers, they're a Super Bowl championship team without a doubt. Their offense is electric. Nick Bosa leading their defense. And Dak
Brock
Prescott.
Purdy's apparently Tom Brady. I mean,
Yeah, Dak Prescott trying to make himself a team quarterback, which he's not. I mean, he was terrible. Like, he could not get out of the pocket and go downfield. And I know Pollard wasn't that great either, but Dak Prescott's just not the move. Like, I rather would have saw Cooper Rush play than Dak Prescott. That's how bad. That's how I really don't trust him because it's going to be the same thing year in and year out. Do good in the regular season, then lose in the first round of the playoffs. I hope it's not to the 49ers again. I hope it's a different team. But he can't get us over that hump. And I'd rather have Cooper Rush or Trey Lance give us a shot.
well, I'll say this to you real quick, Jackson, before you go. I'll say this to you, Jared. As a Browns fan, we have a different same thing year in and year out. So just count your blessings, okay? It's just we have a different thing here. Jackson, go ahead.
National TV.
At least we're making the playoffs. Yeah.
Right.
Because they haven't faced anyone. Like, they faced the 49ers. That's the toughest team on their schedule.
Yeah.
Everyone else
They need
faced.
an all New York schedule. They need the Giants and Jets every week.
Lose to the Cardinals. Yeah. Say Cardinals.
NFC West.
I
The
just
thing
think
is, though,
sorry,
I don't
Jackson.
want to be quick. I don't want to be quick to dump on Dak. Yeah, he throws his picks. He doesn't do his checkdowns appropriate, but something bothered me. Jerry Jones made the statement that Dak's our guy to get us to the Super Bowl in the Promised Land, and that's like he's starting to sound like a dinosaur. He's starting to sound like somebody that you can't reason with. And
Starting?
Prescott get drafted.
26.
Well, I'm just saying that Jerry Jones, as long as Jerry Jones is taking that stance, the Cowboys aren't going to get any better. They are
Jerry
as good as
Jones should sell the team and go on a beach and drink a mojito or something. He doesn't know anything about owning the team, and he's not going to get us to the Super Bowl or for us to win a championship.
The question is this: does Jerry even believe what he's saying, or is he just saying this to keep selling Cowboy fans hopes and weakness?
Get money in his pocket. I agree, Jackson.
It's that when Stephen A goes on the TV, he just trash talks whatever Jones or anybody else says.
To me, it's just crazy how the Cowboys have been the exact same team for 15 years now. Literally
It's
since
because of the owner.
they're a good team in the regular season. They get hyped up a little too much when they start off well, but they just can't hang with the big dogs of the NFC, and they haven't been able to since the
Yeah, it comes from the top down. And I think, like Jackson said, they're Jerry Jones sets that ceiling for them.
Yeah. Jerry Jones.
Dak Prescott now. You're 8, and they haven't made it to the NFC title game. You're 8.
Well, let's go from a bad owner to a good owner, okay? Because we got to talk about the Steelers really quick. The Steelers completely shut the Ravens down after the Ravens made the Browns look kind of silly, right? So let me ask you this: is Pittsburgh Iowa in disguise? Because they just keep winning these games with like a stifling defense and absolutely no offense. Like they're.
Let me tell you, Chad. I'll start here first, real quick. 3 facets. I said this yesterday: offense, defense, special teams. If you get 2 out of 3, pick defense and special teams. Those guys can get stops. Those guys can get points. Those guys can get turnovers. The offense, all they're going to do is get points. And if you're the Steelers, you're not getting first downs. You're not getting points. You're not scoring. So in that case, the number one thing that separates the Steelers from everyone else in the division, they have the ability to grind out and win games they have no business winning. And that's something that Cleveland has yet to show.
Yeah.
It's just
Couldn't agree more.
Watching Pittsburgh, they just look like a bad football team. They are a bad football team. They're talented.
They're 3-2 because of their defense.
They
And
just smother you.
Yeah, and honestly, they should have won that game. Like Lamar Jackson's receivers just decided not to catch any balls. So I mean, at the end of the day, Pittsburgh won by luck.
Has any quarterback ever been as talented as Lamar Jackson and in as bad of a situation as Lamar Jackson?
But Chad, I can answer Jared. He says Pittsburgh wins by luck. And like I tell you all the time, the difference between winning and losing is just that. It's practically damn near impossible to get a W, because if you don't get the W, you get the L. It's either this or that. Yeah. So you got to look at it this way. Luck is part of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know,
it is. It factors in for sure.
I just want to pitch in on this. You know, Steelers are 3-2, sole possession of first place in AFC North. And, you know, I'm a Browns fan. That just heard that my whole life. You know, Steelers in first place, whatever, you know. But they're 3-2, and I look at their next 4 games, and it's like we can say they're bad. We can say they have no talent. We could say that their quarterback has little baby hands, or, you know, that their running back runs like he has cement in his cleats. But at the end of the day, they play the Rams, Jaguars, and Titans and Packers over the next 4 games. 3 of those are at home. The only road game is in LA for the Rams. And let's be honest, how many Rams fans are actually in LA? They're all in St. Louis, by the way. They're all in St. Louis.
They always will be.
Right. But, I mean, over those 4 games, you're playing QBs like you're playing Jordan Love, who's basically a rookie. You're playing Ryan Tannehill, who's as washed as my laundry at home.
You're playing a good Trevor Lawrence.
You are playing a good Trevor Lawrence, but they're at home, and it's hard to win on Heinz Field. I will not call it whatever it is called. It's just like Crypto Center or whatever.
But they did beat the Bills, so you got to remember that, too.
They did beat the Bills, and you know what, Jared? I'm glad you're buying into the Jacksonville train, because Jacksonville will win the AFC West. I will stick with that, but AFC South, my bad. But you know,
I just they win the AFC West. I'm impressed.
And then they also,
but
they also have another 3-game patch after they play the Browns and the Bengals. They play the Cardinals, Patriots, and Colts, and it's like it's hard for me not to see the Steelers to win 10 games or even sneak into the playoffs. Dare I say it? Just
because the worst Steelers team of all time is going to go 11-6 and win this division, right?
I mean, like, I don't know. I'm just trying to do some reverse psychology here.
Right. Put it out there. Put all the reverse psychology out. Steelers are undefeated for the rest of the year.
the Steelers are kind of been in the same spot though, like kind of similar to Dallas the last few years, except it's like a much different style of football. They've just been good enough to be 9-8, 10 wins, maybe just sneak into the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they've been blown out every time they've made the playoffs in recent years. And I think if this team does find a way to sneak in the playoffs, they'll just get blown out again. And I'm
They
wondering.
don't have no. They don't,
I think their defense is too good to get blown out.
who would blow them out? They don't have a blowout defense. Who would blow them out?
They got blown out by the Chiefs 2 years
Listen,
ago.
the only way they get blown out, and this is possible, the only way they get blown out is if they start turning the ball over, right? Like they start turning the ball over trying to catch up or something. Catch up. Get it? Heinz Field. Okay, sorry. They start turning the ball over, they're in trouble because they don't have an offense built to come back, right?
They did get blown out by the Browns in the playoffs a couple years ago. No one thought that would happen. But I'm just wondering if the new standard of Steeler football is becoming just be good enough to win 9 or 10 games. Like that just seems what it is. And they don't fire anyone. And if they win 9 games, Matt Canada's probably back. So I don't even know if that's a win for the Steelers.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, that offense wouldn't taste any better with ketchup on it. I know that. It's
All right. Enough with the ketchup.
I'm done with ketchup. I apologize. I'm sorry.
That's not
real quick, because we've been talking sports for a long time and it's fun and I know but we gotta go places. It's almost time to get out of here already. Real quick, I just want to do a Browns 49ers preview. I'll go around the table. I'll call you guys out. Tell me which quarterback is going to face the 49ers pass rush and tell me which team is going to win. No, tell me how much the 49ers are going to win by. Jared, go.
I would hope for Deshaun Watson, but I think the 49ers win by at least 28.
Yeah. Okay. Nick, what do you think?
I think it's going to be PJ Walker because they said now Watson's injury will take 2 to 6 weeks to recover from. That was just a report that came out today. And if it's that serious, there's no reason to put him out there against Nick Bosa because Nick Bosa is just going to go by Jedrick Wills every play, and Deshaun's just going to get more injured. Yeah. So there's no reason to rush him back. You're probably not winning this game with Watson anyway. So I think it's going to be PJ Walker, and we're going to lose by about 17.
Fair enough. Jameson, what do you think?
The stove's off for this one. No hot take here. I'm going to take the 49ers to win, but I say the Browns cover the spread. So it'll be a close game. Browns cover the 5.5. Okay.
Max, what do you think?
So PJ Walker's going to start.
Okay.
And who's going to hate me here? The Brownies are going to win by a field goal.
I would love it.
Okay.
They're going to march down, and Dustin Hopkins is going to put one right through the uprights.
Okay.
I was thinking earlier this morning that the 49ers are going to waterboard us, but because it's going to be bad. But I think the Browns win by a field goal.
Shut up. Jack, go ahead.
You know what?
Waterboard is
Chad, guys, I don't even know if I can top Max's take. This guy waterboard. What am I supposed to say? Like, what do I say after that?
You're in Gitmo Bay. You got nowhere to go. I don't know.
Bro, I'm going with QB2, the original QB2. Well, actually, he's in Arizona. I guess it would be the clone QB2.
Yeah, he's not coming back.
Right. And as far as picks, I'm looking at Browns defense. I'm looking at it's going to be a road game for the Niners. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that play a factor. The Browns never give you what you think you should get out of two teams meeting. Game's going to be much closer than we anticipate, but the Niners will win by, I say, 9.
Okay. That's why they call them the Niners. I think they have a chance to win by 49. This is why they call them the 49ers. No, I don't think it'll be like I do think it'll be a little close. I think the Browns have the defense. I'm sorry.
There's Browns teams that once existed that would give up 49. Maybe one of those 131 squads, but this squad in particular, I don't see San Francisco blowing them out.
No, they're not going to give up 49 points. And listen, they're going to struggle to score. And depending on who they have at quarterback, if it's Walker, they're really going to struggle to score. But I think the defense can at least – I'm sorry?
Weirdly enough, what Max said, I mean, if the defense keeps them in the game, Browns could come down to needing just a field goal.
I think the defense will keep them in the game this week. I think last week was an off week, but every time we face Christian McCaffrey, we stop him.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, have the Niners seen a defense like the Browns yet?
No.
I mean, so let's maybe just let Brock Purdy face the top 5 defense, and let's pump the brakes on Brock Purdy for a minute and see what he is. Right? I mean, I think it's fair to think it could be close.
Yeah. Are we saying the Cowboys defense isn't any good now?
No.
No,
It's
they're
good,
good.
but I'll take the Browns.
But I would
defense
take
over
the
them.
Browns.
I'll take-
statistically.
Yeah, I think the Browns defense is better. I mean, 11 for 11. I think the Browns defense is better. Don't you guys?
Without Diggs, I'd definitely take the Browns.
Yes,
With
without
Diggs, I
with
think it's
Diggs, it
closer.
is definitely a
They
you know.
want their linebacker too, Van de Osh.
And real quick before we end, Christian McCaffrey scored in 14 straight NFL games. Is this the week where Christian McCaffrey doesn't score a touchdown?
And maybe because we oddly, like you said, McCaffrey oddly doesn't play well against the Browns. But there's a reason I had the Browns logos peeking around the corner there. I'm a little afraid of this game, so we'll see. We'll see. But hey, listen, guys. I'm not afraid to talk to you guys about sports. I like doing that. And it's just time to get out of here. I can't believe it. It's been an hour already, man. I never in my life has an hour passed so quickly. Unless I'm like trying to snooze before I go to work or something. But that's about it.
I ran it by the game. I guess I didn't tell you, but I just wanted to real quick shout my mom out.
Yeah, please.
The anniversary of passing. She'd be real proud of me. She'd be real proud of you guys. She'd be watching the show. So I just wanted to show her some love on the year anniversary. And I thank you guys for giving me the room and space to do so. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Of course. Obviously, we're all sorry for your loss, man. Time doesn't make that any easier. I know trust me, I'm going through the same thing, man. It doesn't make it any easier.
That's all I can tell y'all. Love your mom.
Exactly. Hug your mom, man. Hug your mom while she's here. Call her. If you're thinking about calling her, don't skip it, man. Call her. All right. Hey, man, listen, for Jared, for Nick, for Jameson, for Max, for Jackson, and for our moms, man. You know what I mean? Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
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 Okay.